Hey everybody, Nathan Ronen, CFA here with another update. This is an unusual update. It's applicable to all candidates in the CFA program or people that are contemplating entering the CFA program. And it's about a timely news piece that came out yesterday. I believe it was on June 23rd. And it is regarding a chief marketing officer who previously worked for the CFA Institute. That he had been found embezzling millions of dollars from the CFA Institute and other former employers of his. If you'd like to listen to this, please press the subscribe button and the notifications bell as well, because I like to post these things on a weekly or bi-weekly basis on YouTube, on social media. Many times they're just study tips and advice. Sometimes they're career issues or career advice, and sometimes they're timely news pieces like this, and just to give it a little bit more variety. So if you're interested, please press those buttons and you'll continue to receive these updates. Actually, it's kind of interesting because I have been in the financial services industry for more years than I care to admit. And, from time to time, there's all kinds of scams, crises, issues that come up. Even when I was working for them, I don't think there's many companies on the street today, major firms, that have not been hit by some kind of, or rocked by some kind of scandal or some kind of, crisis. But the CFA Institute, this is a little bit different. First of all, I just want to put everything into perspective. What happened, according to the media sources, is that a gentleman, his name is Michael Collins. He's approximately 61 years of age, which isn't really very important, but just to give perspective. He worked at the CFA Institute as their chief marketing officer from 2016 to 2022. He's not currently employed at the CFA Institute, nor was he at the time that I guess this all blew up. He then went from the CFA Institute in 2022 over to another company, an educational services oriented company called Pearson. I'm sure you've heard of them, from 2022 to 2024. And then he left them and has been with a company called, I think it's called Encino, since 2024. So apparently what has happened is he created these fictitious companies while he was a chief marketing officer, a chief marketing strategist, or a chief marketing executive at these different firms. He created these like shell companies or fictitious companies and submitted invoices to his actual companies, to the CFA Institute or to Pearson, and got paid for services that were never really ever done by these fictitious companies. And we're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars that was actually invoiced and received. And, the worst thing about it is that he took this money and he actually spent it to maintain a lavish lifestyle. According to the media sources, he bought a $150,000, I guess it was an engagement ring or something like that. He used a lot of the money to, buy luxury goods, luxury foods, dine, travel extensively. Wanted to live even a better lifestyle. Supposedly, according to records, it says that he was earning, at the time he was at the CFA Institute, $500,000 a year. So I guess that salary or that income wasn't enough, so he needed to create these fictitious companies and build the CFA Institute, build Pearson when he was there, and, add to his little coffer of retirement funds, whatever, or enjoyment funds. My take on this, I really wouldn't read too much into this. It is very sad that it happened. I'm sure that the CFA Institute feels a little bit awkward. However, keep in mind, according to the records, he was not a charter holder. Not that that means that if he was a charter holder, he wouldn't have done this. What I'm saying is he wasn't a charter holder, so I don't think this tarnishes the CFA designation or the value of the CFA designation. So people ask, well, what kinds of people enter the CFA program? The guy's a thief. Well, he embezzled funds. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty positive, but not 100%. He was not a charter holder, according to his LinkedIn page, according to the media. It doesn't indicate he was a charter holder or a CFA charter holder. So, he did this while he was at the CFA Institute. So, yeah, the CFA Institute probably has some checks and balances that they need to review and corporate governance issues, which I'm sure they're going to take to heart, and they're going to monitor things a little bit more carefully, as any organization would. But hey, look, reality is you could sit there, you can, criticize the CFA Institute, you can laugh at the CFA Institute, you could say they have a black eye. Look, if somebody wants to steal, they're going to steal. They're going to try to find creative ways to get around it so that obviously it's not detected, but it can happen anywhere. It can happen at the CFA Institute, it can happen at JP Morgan, it can happen at Goldman Sachs, it can happen at Merrill Lynch, it can happen at Bank of America, it can happen at GE, it can happen in the federal government. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, this stuff happens. I'm not obviously condoning it in any way, shape, or form, but there's good people and there are bad people in life, and there are good apples and bad apples, and there are good employees and bad employees. This is obviously a very sad situation, and I'm sure that the CFA Institute will deal with it appropriately, and I'm sure that Michael Collins will have his day in court, and will have a lot of explaining to do, and will probably, if he's truly guilty of these crimes, which only a court will determine, appropriate action will be taken. But, please don't feel in any way, shape, or form that you're being in the CFA program, the value of the CFA designation, the image of the CFA Institute, and what they are representing has changed. It hasn't. And that is not to salvage the CFA Institute or the CFA designation. It's just to put things into perspective, that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, hey, look at what happened to CFA Institute. What kind of people are these? He was a rogue employee who was no longer employed there, and has some honesty issues. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more write-ups in the media as time goes on. There was no in-depth analysis of how he did it, how he created these fictitious companies, where he did it, how he was able to get it through the organization. That's going to be all private information that the CFA Institute is probably going to keep close to its chest so that they can, obviously prevent these situations from happening again. All right, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And a last note, CFA Level 1 results are coming out this Thursday, and on June 27th, I believe it is. June 26th, and the Level 2 results will be coming out July 1st. Good luck with your results, and thanks for listening.